right, let's tackle the Republicans first before we get to the Democrats. Mark Halperin wrote this great piece, Can Anything Stop Donald Trump? What do you think?
I mean, listen, obviously, I've met him before. I'm a Wharton guy. I'm a business guy. He's certainly resonating with the Republican Party, which I'm totally on the other side. It seems to be, taking a kind of wave of its own. And, I watched the Dallas thing. I'm not worried because I think at the end of the day, a Democrat's going to be the president of the United States. And so that doesn't really concern me. Because I actually think the narrative that Secretary Clinton and the Democratic Party is talking about today is where the country is. They're pro-immigration. They are, I would say, with respect to social issues, they're more progressive. And I think that, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of discussion on it. I think that if you look at the president's platform, it's working. And as a supporter of the president, I think that people want to carry that forward. Okay,
I want to tackle that, but I want later. But I want to get to Trump because you mentioned that you know him. So
I've met him before.
You've met him before. Have you ever done any business with him at all?
Yeah, he was a good client at UBS. We've played golf together. I've had lunch with him. He's a Wharton guy, and if you grew up on Wall Street in the '80s, I have to admit, The Art of a Deal is a book you read.
Right. Does he have the qualities, though, of a president?
Listen, it's not the qualities that I would vote for because I actually, unlike many, I want someone who has government experience. It seems that the Republican Party has been pushing for this, new type of politician, and it seems
it's not them. It's the voters. Though.
The voters. That's the Republican voters
right.
pushing for a new type of politician that hasn't been in the Beltway, which is why if you look at Trump and Carson and Fiorina combined,
none of them have government
They're
experience.
probably over 50%. So I don't think you'd see the same on the Democratic Party. I think there's obviously the Democrats by history are more prone to government.
Right. So those are the top two right now are longtime politicians, right? So Bernie Sanders, even though he considers himself on the outside, right? And Hillary Clinton. But Robert, speaking about Hillary Clinton, you saw the polls the other day, right, where she is down 10 percentage points in Iowa, and she's off by, I think, 22 percentage points in New Hampshire. Are you worried?
Betty, if I watch the polls the way you all do...
Oh, come on. They watch the polls. You watch the polls.
Mitt Romney would be president today instead of being wiped out by President Obama. I think the day before he was still maybe winning in the polls. Listen, I think, she starts at 75, 80%. There's only one way to go. I think that the media and the general public wants to have a competition for the Democratic primary, just like the Republican primary does. I'm not worried about where Secretary Clinton's going to be. I think that the poll is where we are for a snapshot today. There is no question.
But are you saying that you expected her to lose ground?
I'm not surprised that when someone's at 75%, that there's a normalcy that plays out.
Right, but now she's behind, though, Robert.
Yeah, but honestly, I don't buy the polls, okay? And I think that the polls I would look at is probably everyone's own internal polls. Where do they really think they sit? And the truth is, New Hampshire and Iowa will not define, solely who our next president is. If you recall, President Obama lost to Hillary in New Hampshire, won Iowa, and they had a lot of, tough competition, but the president ended up winning. I don't think that it's going to be predicated on two states.
But Robert, how committed are you to supporting Secretary Clinton? Let's just say we're not a year out. We're 6 months out. Okay, and you see that the poll numbers are not going to favor Clinton. Are you going to change your support?
Listen, one, I don't want to speculate what I do, and I've already announced I'm supporting Secretary Clinton, and Vice President Biden's not even in. So a lot of things have to happen before we have that conversation. I would say that, to me, I'm a Democrat first and foremost. And I'm not hopping on different places based on where polling's going. I think we should recall, when I started supporting Barack Obama as president, he was running 10th and had a 1% approval rate in the polling.
But you saw something
and
there.
So I saw something there. And I think today I'm really proud of what Secretary Clinton's standing for. I think at the end of the day, we will go back to the platform issues. It will be about the economy. It will be about foreign policy. It will be about immigration. It will be about social good. And I think that it won't be about the things that seem to be in all the rhetoric today.
So, okay, I get it. you're behind Secretary Clinton. But hey, man, you also had a conversation with Joe Biden.
You know what?
Joe when he came to New York. What was that about?
And like Forrest Gump, run, Joe, run, right? Listen, I'm flattered and honored to be able to sit down with the Vice President of the United States. Is an honor. I will tell you, it was
So he requested the meeting.
He requested the
meeting.
Walk
me through all this. Okay.
John Howman, wrote it all.
I know, but I want to hear
there was
from
no
you.
spin to that. I mean, Thursday they called up and they asked to meet Friday. We met Friday. We met alone for 90 minutes at the Midtown Hilton Hotel, and we had a great meeting. And the fact is, it was an incredible conversation for me as a dad with two boys, who Luke and James at Duke. When he started talking about Hunter and Bo, who went together at Penn. My heart it hits me. It is not about the Stephen Colbert thing, which was amazing.
Right.
But when you just sit and you see the type of person he is, he's just genuine. There is nothing else to talk about. And, I know my wife will hate this, but she works for Sandy Hook Promise. And Joe, the stuff he has done for Sandy Hook Promise about gun violence against children has been amazing. And so for me, just listening to a lot of the things he stands for, which the president stands for, and Secretary Clinton. I know I'm being very diplomatic
I know you are.
now.
But could you fundraise for Joe Biden?
I like to think I'm more of a thought leader than a fundraiser. I know you guys like to think of me as a bundler, but I do have 3 presidential appointees on each of the president's economic committees. So I'd like to think I can help on talking about infrastructure and free trade and exports. And yes, I'm going to help who's ever the Democratic nominee to become the next president.